Oh, these microphones are too good. I have to remember not to breathe too heavy.
Well, don't worry, I'm doing that as well. I just dropped 2 Codral with this Red Bull. I'm the picture of health.
Man, you are operating on levels we cannot imagine.
I'm on a different planet, but it's a nice planet there. It's very both fast, but also free of congestion.
It's good to live a life free of congestion. You're the next natural stage of human evolution, I think.
Oh, just breathing like this. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm not free of congestion yet.
No. Oh, I'm going to make that so much louder in the edit.
Oh, no, what a terrible start.
Yeah. No. I'm going to cut out all the talking before that and open with that sound.
Oh, and then people can guess what it is. It's just some monster from this thing.
That's the...
it's the computer monster.
It's the new secret sound.
Guess what this is?
This is Bec being overworked.
Bec thinking that she's breathing well for once. Nah,
you're one of the worst breathers in town.
It's true.
Yeah, I've always said it about you.
I got a new asthma prescription, which is fun as a 30-year-old, and it came in a giant box.
Oh,
like it was this big. My asthma prescription used to be this big, tiny, giant box. Get it out. I feel like an old man.
So I don't know much about asthma. I thought for asthma you just needed like the puff up, like that.
So I got a puff up,
yeah,
and that's like a Ventolin inhaler, right? Because so there's preventers and another word I have forgotten currently, and I have the other word. I think it's a more consistent thing where you have it every day.
Oh, like a pill?
No, it's also the same except mine's an AccuHaler, and it's like a little circle disc thing, and then you twist it. It does the same thing, but it's like a more enhanced steroid. I think it's just a steroid that's just for bitchy wimp lungs.
It gives you air before you even know you need it.
Yeah, it's constant stream of air.
Wow, that's so useful in the future. Hey,
Hey,
you like that sharp turn? Hey, Bec Petraitis, welcome to Reanimates.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice to be here.
It is. Well, I realised, I don't think I did it on purpose, but I realised when I was making my notes for this that this is the second time you've been on, and it's also the second movie you've done that is about the internet.
I was desperately trying to remember if the movie I watched last time was similar, because I feel like I was on last time maybe during the dark days of lockdowns. Was I?
I think so, yeah. I think we did it online.
And so what's happened is all of those days I have not, my memories are so bad, I think because it was just like a big long blop. I watched this movie and I was like, I feel like I've seen it before.
Well,
and maybe it's because it was very similar to the last one.
It was similar in the sense of like
computer.
It was computer, and it was like the internet will kill us. So the movie you did was Fear.com. Yes. And I will say, as bad as Fear.com was, this is so much worse.
This is such a special thing.
It is. So the movie we're doing is called Digital Prophet, but it's also known as Cyberstalker in some places. I'm just going to call it Digital Prophet because that's a better name.
Yeah, it sounds like a Chapel Roan song also. And it would be a good Chapel Roan song. It'd be like I reckon, cowboy-esque number.
Well, yeah, I think it'd probably be about...
like a Jesus sort of Bible thumping, but you're a digital prophet, you know.
I think it's about someone who starts a Tumblr that makes everyone gay.
That's Tumblr.
Yeah. Well, so it's from 1995. I will say, though, so this movie gets a little bit of a break because it's obviously low budget, obviously.
Yes.
But it does seem like it's one of those things where it was like a bunch of mates. Like it's a really small cast and crew. And it being low budget just tells me like, you know, these people were just having a go. They were trying something. They didn't do it great, but they had a go and they were trying to make something that was in the zeitgeist at the time.
Yeah.
And so I can't fault them for that. I mean, I can fault them for a lot of other things, but I can't fault them for their moxie.
The reason why I love this too is that you can see just the seams of it. You know when you're watching a thing and you're like, I think they've just hired a big warehouse for the duration of this thing.
Yes.
And they're just trying to make different places they could be in. And I really liked that. It reminded me of like in year 12 for our final like big hurrah, I made a year 12 video, right? And it was me with a handy cam trying to get people to be in little sketches that all stitched together. Yeah. And it reminded me so much of that. It reminded me of like editing on like Nero. Like it felt...
That's so cute. That is such a good view into the Bec of the future. I can't blame this team because whomst amongst us?
Oh, you tried your best with what you had.
Yeah.
And also, It's so hard to make something.
It's hard to make stuff unless
It's
you
hard
have
to
a
make
bajillion
anything.
dollars.
Yes, if you make something, I think it's an effort in itself. Did this look like an Alex Mack episode the whole way through? Yes. Did I love it? Yeah, I kind of loved it for that. I know it wasn't good, but also it was trying to do something, and I appreciated that at least.
It wasn't actively insulting.
No,
like it wasn't. I definitely watched some movies that were low budget again, which is fine, but like it was low budget in the sense of like being no effort. It was like boring. Wasn't trying to do anything interesting.
No.
This was having a real go, and most importantly, in the scenes that Jeff is in, he is very good.
Yes.
He's wonderful. So it was directed by, again, I'm going to rattle off a whole bunch of names. There's no reason for you to know any of them.
On TV, I get annoyed that the credits aren't played anymore. I get so annoyed. This is good. I want to hear the credits.
They get scrunched. They get scrunched up.
or they're just not there at all. I'm like, no, let's hear the credits of this movie. People deserve to have their names.
I want to see who the best boy was. The best boy is my cat. So it's directed by Christopher Romero, no relation, who seems nowadays to be a stage actor. He only did 2 features and a few shorts, directing-wise. And it was written by Romero as well as Annie Biggs, Tony Brownrigg, and Schnell Wilson, who I think are all in it. And again, all of whom haven't done a huge amount. My favourite credit, if I was going to pick one, is that the special effects guy was called Roman Flute.
Phenomenal.
That is a great name.
That's a beautiful name.
The rough, I guess, synopsis of this is fear of the internet in the early to mid-90s.
Even though it's a very old school idea of fear of the internet, I still watched it and I was like, it kind of got it. Like this is what the internet does to... It is what the internet does to me. Oh my God, I just started saying, I'm like, wait a second, this is like, conspiratorial people joining a thing. Yeah, all right.
They had no idea what the specifics of the internet was going to look like. They couldn't have accurately predicted like Twitter or, Feet Wiki.
No, they got the fear right.
Yeah. The point is it was going to get bad, and it is. The first person we meet is a guy at his computer. First thing you see from him is insane. He's smoking a cigar. He's like a young person at his computer, and he's smoking a cigar. I don't know where that came from.
Did he also... I'm just trying to remember the scene. He zips his pants up, right?
Oh, I didn't see that.
He did?
That would make a lot of sense, though.
I think he did. And when he did it, he did the thing that I love in acting when you are zipping up your pants and you're a dude and you kind of shake your butt a bit.
Yeah. You got to adjust it all in there.
Yeah, but it's like very clearly nothing is happening. It's kind of like when people go to drink a coffee cup and it's empty. When they're doing that, I'm like, I don't know. There's something fun about that.
You got to mime the weight.
Yeah, I think when it comes to acting, like you're putting your junk back in your pants, you really got to not think about it as hard.
Just imagine that there's a dick there. He makes what looks to be a fucking insane sandwich. As far as I could tell, the sandwich went peanut butter, sliced pickles, tomato, some sort of dip, looked like roast capsicum maybe, and arugula or wheatgrass.
It looked like alfalfa. Because I was watching it.
So is alfalfa what we call arugula? I feel like alfalfa might be what we call and what Americans call arugula.
Arugula.
Like a cartoon noise.
Oh, that's arugula.
Oh, arugula's
so lettuce. The reason why I think it's alfalfa is my mum used to put up... Yeah. This is sort of muck, like a sponge.
Yuck.
My mum used to put it on everything. And then watching this, I realised I was like, I haven't seen alfalfa in years.
It's a very 90s thing.
It is.
Yeah.
What happened to it? It was awful. Oh, I've realised.
It just went out of vogue. It's kind of like how, 10 years ago, everyone was eating everything with salted caramel.
That's true. And wheatgrass was in all the drinks.
Mm-hmm. And why everyone loves Biscoff now.
Everyone does love Biscoff now.
Wow.
It's okay.
I like it. I mean, it doesn't have to be in everything, but
Yeah.
I do love like a bit of like a Biscoff cheesecake.
I mean, I like any sugar.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Famously unfussy with candy.
Yeah, when you said Biscoff, I was like, yeah, I'll have that. I was going to go Nutella's, but no, I'll leave them both.
It depends what you're having. Like I would have Nutella with strawberries, but I wouldn't have Biscoff with strawberries.
Would you have Biscoff with peanut butter, alfalfa?
Yes.
What else was in this sandwich?
Yeah, that's what this sandwich needed. Is,
just a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, lotus speculoos. So pretty soon, like, the words come up in this chat room that he's in. And the chat room is going to be, like, where the villain lives. It says, you are unworthy. The annoying thing about this movie is that you don't see any of the deaths, really. So this guy is, I think, strangled by a modem cord, they say. But, again, most of the deaths in this, they sort of happen implied off screen. Or they're, like, just out of shot. You don't need to have a big budget to just, like, to have someone acting like they're being choked.
Yeah. I liked this, too, because it was so... the leg movements in this were so funny.
Specifically.
Once again, I think it was a guy going, what does it look like to die? What would my legs be doing? He was thinking too much about how you would die with your legs.
Yeah.
But it was I liked it. I thought it was funny.
So much acting is in the legs, though.
You
You don't realize how important it is. Famously, Laurence Olivier, he was always like, I act legs first. One of the first things you do notice about this film, and this is obviously a function of it being quite low budget and quite amateur, is that the sound is atrocious.
Oh, that first scene where it started and the sound kicked in, I swear that they're like, I don't think the mics were on. I think it was on-camera audio.
It had to have been, yeah.
And then, you know, with found footage films, you never hear like found audio films. And this was like found audio. I was like, oh, are they doing something kind of fun with it?
Ugh.
But then it kicked in and I was like, oh no, there was one little take they did where they didn't record for some reason, I think.
Yeah, most of the scenes, the sound is pretty bad. If it's not sort of way too quiet, it's very muffled. Like there was whole bits of dialogue that I just didn't get.
Yeah.
Because obviously this didn't, this wasn't like a Blu-ray copy that I watched. There was no subtitles for it. You do miss a bit of information with that. Yeah, it sounds like they're all talking under a doona.
Do you know what I didn't check and I wanted to check? The song at the start, was that a song made for this movie? Because it sounded like maybe it was.
So I believe that all of the music in this was written for the films.
Loved it.
Yeah, I think that it's like an original soundtrack.
When it started playing, I was like, this is good.
Ooh, this thinks it's Mazzy Star.
Yeah.
Oh. The two cops at the center of this, they're investigating all these weird deaths. Detective Jordan, who is Schnell Wilson, one of the writers, and Detective Salinas Blake Barner. Both of them are fine acting-wise. I would say that the actress playing Detective Jordan is a bit better. Thankfully, Jeff shows up very quickly. He runs a comic book store. He's also a comic book artist.
It was a comic book store. This is the other thing I was trying to work out. But did they also sell other sexy things?
I don't...
Oh, maybe I was just reading something into it.
It was mostly, it seemed to be mostly comic books, but look, it's kind of like when, it's got to be like a mixed business.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's you got to sell a bunch of stuff. Retail's hard.
Well, I don't know about the economy was probably much better in 1995.
That's true.
You could have a store that only sold comic books.
Far out. That was...
You didn't have to sell fucking Funko Pops to make your rent.
No. And yeah, you got people with computer disease attacking you, but that's
life.
That's life, and the economy was good.
Not like now in the new millennium.
You still got computer people attacking you, but the economy bad.
Economy's so bad. Everything bad.
Bad.
So back to the nerd shit. There's a geek in a chat room called Psycom. So Psycom is the chat room that we spend all our time in. It's great though. It looks like it's from 1995.
It looks like Encarta.
Well, it looks like I'm trying to think of, what was it? Merc?
Oh, I don't know what Merc is.
Merc, I think, was like it was like an Australian, well, I think it was Australian. I mean, I feel like it was around a lot of my high school. I think it was like one of those like early messenger services.
Oh.
So this character is one of those people that reads all of his dialogue out loud, which I don't think people generally do in real life, but it is useful to us as an audience.
I like that he also, if this is the guy I'm thinking of, he also was like barreling the camera, which is a very rare shot in a movie.
What, like getting right up in it?
If you're staring directly into the camera, because it was like, because it's him staring into the camera and then shots of the screen.
Because most of the shots of him are POV of like the computer.
The computer.
Yeah.
And it was just nice making eye contact with someone.
A journalist makes the connection that all of the various victims were in the same chat room and the cops are like, come on. Well, they're all in the same chat room. Come on. Like classic, like cops don't understand the internet, which I'm sure doesn't happen now.
I mean, also like I've known people who have had issues with like people on the internet being, abusive towards them and then telling the cops about it. And the cops are like, I don't know. It's like, you're supposed to. And that's very cool of them.
I think fundamentally cops and or people of a certain age, they just don't think of the internet as real life.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the AI robots, every, Twitter account or Facebook account, whatever, has a real person who are just saying atrocious things. And it's not like it never results in real life violence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does quite a lot.
But you'd think from the way that, anyway, we don't need to go into, criticising how the police act and the function in society.
I mean, you can if you like.
I don't think it's cool. I'm very,
It's not on.
I'm saying it.
Oh my God. Where's the censor button?
Beep.
Wow, it's woke culture gone mad.
I don't think they're very good.
Oh,
calm down.
Turn the oven off. The takes are burning. They're too hot.
I'm off the rails.
Welcome back to The Truth with Bec Petraitis.
I don't think they're doing a good job about this. And
Well,
maybe we need to question what their function in society is.
I'm going to get you cancelled.
Oh, no!
They don't believe them, but one of the cops also knows that there was a weird comic book at the dead guy's house. And so the comic book ends up being by Jeff, and it what ends up linking most of our victims. The weird guy is shot dead in the shower, also while talking to himself.
Can I talk about how he was singing to himself?
You may.
And that clearly they didn't have the rights to anything, but they knew they didn't have the rights to anything. They're like, so he was just like, he's singing a entirely legally friendly song, which I think is so funny.
It's so funny to naturally, if you just like sort of start singing to yourself, like I find that if I'm in my car, and I don't know why this happens, it must be like Pavlovian at this point. If I'm in my car and the radio's not on and it's completely quiet, I start singing the exact same song every time.
Oh.
And for some reason, it's that song that's like, if I can't have you, I don't want nobody, babe. I don't know why.
That's such a good song to default to. I don't know what my default song is.
I don't know why. I don't listen to it that often, but
Wow.
that's just what comes into my head now when it's perfectly quiet in my car. But if I had to try and like hum something, I think the inclination would be to naturally do a song you already know.
Yeah, and he's doing a song that doesn't exist
Yet.
and that's well, now it does because it's on the film.
Yeah, it's so messy. It's just like
It's so messy.
ba-da-da-da-la-la-la-la-la. He's like, oh, how do I make this not sound like anything?
Yeah, but there is so many songs these days that are like, you know, those Bohemian Rhapsody style. You know, you're going from one stanza to the next, no idea where you're going. What's song structure far out? What's song structure anymore? So that's kind of, I think he was ahead of his time in the shower in this case.
I think the Zoomers have realised that, you know, oh,
it's spreading. Oh, no.
the song structure of old is that's your daddy's song structure.
Yucky.
I'm doing things my way, granddad.
I'm doing bridge, chorus.
It's all bridges.
All bridges.
I did see someone once who was talking about how they didn't like a Carly Rae Jepsen song because they were like, ugh, obviously she's written this bit to be TikTok friendly. And it was just the bridge of the song. And I'm like, they don't know what a fucking bridge is.
Yeah. What happened was I reached
the moon. That's exactly it.
It's that one. Which, that one I kind of understand the frustrations about because that part is so good. The bridge is so good that you want the rest of the song to be made of bridge. And unfortunately, the rest of the song, I would say, is made of just the flat ground until you reach the bridge, you go, oh, and then back to flat ground.
Why don't they make the whole song out of bridge?
Why don't they make the whole song out of bridge?
The bridge is the best part. Well, that's a weird song because having Rufus Wainwright on there is interesting.
Yes.
It's a very weird coupling.
And it doesn't feel like it sits together right. There's something about it apart from that one bit where you go like, oh, it all came together to be perfect.
Yep. And it's taken away so quickly.
And I think the thing about people saying that was perfect for TikTok or that she just made it for TikTok. No, the people who made that or her management just went, that's the best part of the song. Let's put that part out.
That's how we get it in there.
That's how we get it in there.
So here's like this is like a little audio of, I guess, like a speech from what becomes our villain.
Be still. You have lied about your allegiance. Micah has shown you the way that you refuse to see. I am sorry you could not envision the new world society. Do not fear the gathering. Micah awaits you.
So there's a scene of the killer like leveling up. Their arm glows. So we do find out that the killer is kind of like, you know, the idea of her online sorry.
Whoa.
Yep. Women can be murderers too. Hashtag feminism.
Yay. We're doing it.
Girl bossing homicide. The idea of her like online persona is sort of in this movie it manifests as like almost a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see scenes of like her online persona like glowing and getting like robot enhancements.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's confusing, but it's interesting.
It felt like
know.
her online persona lives inside the actual computer box, was what I thought I gathered from it.
Inside
the computer.
Yeah.
I think that's where she lives. I loved the special effects on this.
Oh, yeah.
It was cute. It's cute.
Look, it was much better than I expected, considering how poorly a lot of it is shot and stuff. I was expecting some really dog shit special effects, but I was like, oh, that's where all the money went. Was on the special effects.
And it's just fun. It's very I don't think I've even watched Max Headroom properly, but it feels Max Headroomy of that like computer sort of weird glitchy. I love it. I love that stuff.
Nasty computer business.
Nasty computer.
The cops go to the journalist's house because he says he has some info, but he has to show them on his computer because obviously you couldn't just send files in 1995. But when they get there, he dared. By the end, you realize that I'm pretty sure that the two cops are dating.
Yes, I was trying to work that out too.
But that's not made super clear. Like, there is a scene where he goes over to her house
They're
and
on a
like
couch.
brings her beer and stuff. But I'm like, oh, they're probably like Mulder and Scully. They're probably just, well, that's a bad example. But they're probably just, you know, like
friendly. But then at the end, they had a charged look.
Yeah, well, you know, he was like, baby, I got you.
But she had something going with the journo.
They used to date. Yes.
Yeah. So when they ran out with the guns, loved them running outside.
Really good gunplay.
Really good gunplay, holding the guns out, spinning around in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Loved that it was the middle of the day. Why are you spinning around like that?
Yeah.
That's not a good way to... And then just running and like aiming at some... Sorry, I'm getting ahead.
No, there is... I'll make a gif of it, I think, that there is this like this whole scene of them like looking at the house, like going through the rooms, being like, clear. But there's one bit where I think they both come out at the same time and they just like pointing the guns in opposite directions. I'm like, were you hoping that would be like a postcard?
I think it's for the trailer.
It's for the So we meet a woman in a blossom flower hat. She's also in Psycom. This scene again, I didn't fully understand it. There's this businesswoman having a smoke on her balcony. She goes into her own office, I think, grabs a floppy disk, puts it in her pocket, and then goes out to her car. And she's parked next to Blossom Flower Hat, who's having trouble with her car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
And was that the only connection between them?
Yeah, and so so what ends up happening is Blossom Flower Hat is faking the car trouble, and when business lady comes out to help her, Flower Hat kills her, puts her in the trunk of the car, and says something about converting the masses.
Yeah,
but I was like, why did they have the shot of her taking a floppy disk like that was important?
A part of me feels like the people who made this movie were trying to make some of the scenes seem like they were heading one way. You know, when you're like, so maybe you're supposed to think that maybe she was the one that was doing computer murder because she had a floppy disk. Maybe, like, I'm being like, I think they were trying to make the film more complex, but in doing so, they just made it kind of like confusing. Weird movie jazz where you're watching scenes going, why is that happening?
Yeah, because
on to the next thing.
Because there was a scene where business lady is saying goodbye to one of her colleagues, who's another woman, and says something like, you know, take care out there. There's a lot of weirdos out there, or something like that.
My brain is saying that was them trying to redirect that this could be the murderer, but I don't think they were successful necessarily in that. But or it was just something that was happening.
Maybe they was padding out the runtime.
I mean, I didn't even mention that they really stayed before that guy got killed in the shower. The montage scene that happened before it of him just being in his house, that went for a very long time. And
ages.
I thought maybe that was like the longest. You know how montages are usually a way of skipping through bits?
Yeah, making it shorter.
Whereas that was like montage but make real long, which I kind of thought that was fun.
Flower Hat is all leathered up now. She's getting zapped and leveling up like she was before. So Flower Hat is, I'm just going to ruin it, the Cyberkiller.
Oh, my God.
Her name is Newman for some reason, played by Annie Biggs, who, I think is one of the directors. Because I just realised that both of the female characters in this movie have, I guess, what is typically known as male names.
I wonder why they did that.
Because they knew that in the future, gender would be useless.
Yes, and people would understand it as a construct. Or maybe they cast it gender blind, like, and this was like the first film that did that. So they called everyone by their surnames.
Well, there is also there is a guy later who I think it's actually in the next scene. So the Newman is chatting online to someone who she's talking to a guy who says, "I like my comics like I like my women. Nasty." So they're talking about the comic that everybody in Psycom reads, which is a comic by Jeff's character. She eventually invites the guy over to seduce him, and it's so fucking weird because they obviously haven't had enough of a conversation, because when he gets there, he doesn't even know that she's a woman. So he's gone there thinking that this person called Newman is a man, but he's like happily pleased about it. He obviously,
You know what? That's true. That was very like progressive of him.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
Unless, of course,
she invites him into, again, what is just a garage. It's like most of this movie takes place in people's homes or a warehouse.
Yeah.
That is like subdivided.
I loved seeing the candlelight by the roller door.
Yeah.
That's romance.
Yeah, it definitely, whatever this like lounge room is that she's like set up, it looks like a 3-car garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of, to peel back the curtain a little bit here, we're recording at Stupid Old Studios, the illustrious, but the new Stupid Old Studios. This is the
third one.
Yes, because
this one's like profesh.
Back in the day, Stupid Old Studios used to be in just a warehouse.
Oh yeah, just a warehouse, and also like across the road from like, what was it? Like a
meat.
I was going to say an animal murderers. That's not the word. Like a slaughterhouse, and it was just like stinky of fish and stuff,
and super loud.
Loud. But also, I ate a lot of dinners there in front of the roller door. It was beautiful. It's very Brunswick chic, actually, eating dinner in a warehouse.
Well, I think it's because I was going to say you guys live there, but I won't say that.
Oh no, it's. I think it's well known by this point. The first Stupid Old was very. That was completely a bunch of comedians who happened to rent a warehouse. I never lived there because I was, I think, 19 and I hadn't moved out of home yet. And I was working at Coles to pay rent on the warehouse an hour away from me, which is so silly.
That's so funny because now I think about it, like there were because there was always people there. There were so many people that I just assumed lived there.
I'm so sad I didn't though.
I mean, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I miss being young.
I miss being young too. I can't imagine doing that now. I'd be like, I'm too cold.
My bones hurt.
My bones hurt. It's not a healthy way to live in a box.
No, but it makes sense when you're 25.
Yeah, and you can that's cheap rent.
Yeah.
And also you can film things out the back in the giant space and do weird stuff. Like it was great.
So
where were we?
The
movie.
She invites him into the garage. She asks him to strip and lie down on what looks like a dentist chair.
I thought it was like a gynecologist situation.
Similar types of chairs.
That's true.
One has like leg pedals.
Yeah.
What do you call them? Stirrups.
Leg pedals.
Yeah.
You're still on bikes.
Yeah. Which you don't usually need for a dentist.
No.
I hope not.
No. It was very sexy.
Oh, yeah. It was hugely erotic,
Yeah.
especially when she gives him like a sexy massage and he's like handcuffed and blindfolded.
Yeah.
It was very so back in the day when I was a teenager, my first boyfriend, we used to sneak down late at night after his parents were asleep because he had cable, like whatever the cable was. I guess it was Foxtel or maybe something earlier. But at some point the fashion channel, after a certain point in time, would turn into very softcore pornography.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it was so softcore, like it was, there was like hardly any nudity. Everyone always had their socks on all the time.
People doing little kisses, just going.
It was like big kisses, but like filmed in such a way that you can't see anything.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's what it reminded me of. It was like this is trying to be sexy without making it at all sexy.
So when I was watching this, my partner Evan walked past. Just to give you an idea of how this scene is, it's so unsexy. He was just like, what's this? Like, it wasn't like, oh, you're watching something sexy. He was like, what's happening?
She eventually, like he's blindfolded, she eventually electrocutes him. She does yell something at him as he dies, but I literally couldn't make it out.
I was going to ask you what it was.
No, I couldn't make it out because the audio is so bad. There's a few instances that were like, I bet that was a really cool line, but I didn't fucking hear it.
The impression was this. I was like, oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, you go, Newman.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, you kill that guy for being on the internet or whatever your ethos
Whatever
is.
happened, yeah.
I'm not really sure why, but Newman starts telling on herself. So she takes the transcript of the sexy chat she had with that guy to the cops, and she starts helping the cops.
This film reminded me a lot of fan fictions I've read. Because they're trying to be something bigger than they are, right? Mm-hmm. And they have this grand lore, but they don't have the ability to like necessarily tell the story they want to tell.
You also have to connect a lot of the dots yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that what was happening was that she knew the cops were onto it. But also, later scenes, she didn't. I don't know.
But also, they weren't. Like,
They weren't,
the cops
no.
were getting nowhere
No.
with their investigation.
She would have been fine.
She does eventually kidnap one of the cops, spoiler. So that's the only reason I can assume she wants to get closer to them.
Yeah.
But she didn't need to tell on herself. She could have just been like, I have information about the Cyberkiller.
Yeah, she could have got him in many different ways. Sometimes when you got a cool hat, you do crazy things.
Crazy hat, crazy life.
Crazy hat, crazy life. That's what I say.
I always say that.
I've got it at home. I've got a beret with a face on the top of it. I put it on. I go nuts.
You're fucking mental.
I go to Safeway.
Safeway.
I go to Safeway. I buy 5 cans chunky soup.
Don't think it's been called Safeway since the late 90s.
But I go there.
You call it Safeway, and everyone's like,
Safeway. I buy 5 cans chunky soup. I'm going to have that every day for lunch. That's a terrible idea. My guts, they're going to be soup.
what kind of soup though? Is it 5 different cans of different flavors? Or is it all
No,
the same?
all beef chunky soup. And that's crazy. Because
Wow.
you can have variety in cans of soup.
Yeah,
I was going to say $2, but they're not anymore.
No.
Cans of soup are going up.
Everything's going up.
I can't believe it. Every time I go and buy chunky soup, I'm like, you used to be $2.
Yeah.
Why are you 4 to 6?
Yeah, when I was sick, all I wanted was minestrone, and a can of minestrone was like $4.50.
That's so that's supposed to be the cheap food.
Yeah.
They did canned food drives because it was the cheap food that you could.
No food is cheap anymore.
No, except in Queensland, I went there. I went on holiday, and I was
Yeah.
like, the prices here seem normal.
Compared to here.
Yeah, I was like going around going, I'm going to buy all my soup here. Put it in my carry-on. Pay carry-on, but it'll still be cheaper than the soup.
Soup tourism.
Soup tourism. I'm importing chunky soup from the
it's
Gold Coast.
Like when people go to Thailand and buy up cigarettes.
Just someone from border security
Being
opening up the carry-on, just all soups.
being like, well, I don't think it's illegal, but
You need to declare that you're bringing soup.
well, because it's technically food and like
yeah.
like vegetables and stuff like that, but it's in a can.
It's enclosed.
Yeah.
Can I be real with you? I got back from this holiday on a boat.
On a boat.
I got back on a boat, and when I got off the boat, they said they were going to check that we didn't have food because it was a US boat. It was a very weird process. We got on this US. It was the Disney cruise. I don't know why I'm hiding this. I'm wearing the jumper. I don't know if you've noticed. It's got Captain Mickey on it. Anyway, so we came back on the Disney cruise. And when we were coming back, they were like, you need to declare food, because it was like we were coming from overseas, but we'd just gone from Queensland to Victoria.
Yeah.
And they didn't check.
So you could have had anything.
I bought all this soup. I bought it on a boat.
Stealing soup.
Mickey didn't even know.
Stealing soup from hardworking Queenslanders. Wow.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to survive.
You're a menace to society.
They voted in the Liberals. I am stealing their soup.
That's true. They've got Ripley's. They're fine.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, Ripley's is insane. People in Australia, let me know if you've been to Ripley's, believe it or not, in Surfers Paradise in Queensland. And international listeners, Google it. It's fucking weird as hell.
And also, let Lisa know if you went as a kid and you thought it was fun. Because as a kid, I thought it was fun. As an adult going in there going, this will be a bit of a lark.
Yeah.
You walk in and you go, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
no,
that's it.
this is not a lark.
I never went.
This was an error.
I never went as a kid. I never even went to Queensland as a kid. So I went to Queensland and then also to Ripley's for the first time last year. Last February, I went to Queensland.
And did you walk in and go, whoa?
Well, at first I was like, this is madcap. This is silly fun. And then going further into some of the exhibitions, I was like, This is very archaic.
This is archaic, and I don't think it should be. I think they should give this back to the people
Yeah.
they took it from. But the other thing about Ripley's is I went there when I was 16. I'm saying I was a kid. When I was 16, I thought it was, I don't know, maybe it was because also I was riding off the back of the Ripley's Believe It or Not TV show, which I think had a lot of
Sway.
sway.
Whereas 16's still a kid. You're still dumb as hell then.
Whereas walking in this time, I was like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Well, Surface Paradise in general is a very weird place. It feels out of reality. It feels like
Vegas, but wet.
feels like a tiny town that is catering exclusively to drunk teenagers.
Yes, and Bec, who stayed there because she was like, that'd be funny. And it kind of was. It was good because you could go get a cha time at quite late at night.
That's true. Everything's open. Everyone's getting tattoos at 2 a.m.
I had a child's holiday. I realised I haven't been on holiday in years, and maybe it's because I haven't been on holiday since I was a kid. I was like, oh, this is what you do on holiday.
Yeah,
It was
you
actually
had
pretty good.
You had the holiday that little Beck wanted to have.
Do you know what I did? I went to Warner Brothers and Dreamworld.
Like my true, like I love Queensland generally. I love Brisbane. Any Brisbane listeners? Hey, what's up? Yeah, it's a great place, but some of it was wasted on me because I don't do theme parks.
See, and there is something so lovely about a theme. I mean, I love theme parks.
See, I don't like rides really, so I don't see the point of a theme park.
Yeah.
I like a carnival because a carnival has games, and the games and the animals is what I want.
Do you know what? That's fair. Whereas I like rides. I love theming. I love theatre shit. And a theme park is just a bunch of people putting on a show, and the show is theme park, right?
Yes.
And that's also why I went on the boat that was a theme park, because it was a theme park.
Of course. You know what? I just never really thought of you as a Disney adult, but now it makes total sense.
The thing is, I didn't know I was a Disney adult until I was taking a photo. I was waiting in line for 30 minutes to meet Captain Mickey, and then I was like, no, I think I might be actually. In this process, I've realised, because I would have before that gone like, nah, I mean, I like Disney. Yeah. But it's when you put a certain amount of investment into it, you go, oh, no, wait a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've realised these things about yourself on this trip.
Yeah, I think
the summer that changed everything.
I think it's when you're looking at someone from afar going like, oh, they're really into Disney, and then you look the same as them and you're like, and then you see it in yourself and you go, I'm actually free now.
Once you accepted yourself as a Disney adult.
I think it was that I didn't even realise I was. But now I will defend them to the grave, because you know what's great? Earnestness.
Life's too short.
Life's too short. You know, I'm never going to buy a house. Why not buy another Disney thing?
Like, there's a lot of things I don't get, but I don't care, because I'm like, that's for you. Like, I don't have to, unless it's actively harmful, I don't give a shit what you do with your life. But it's like Disney stuff. I'm like, I kind of get it. Like, obviously I was raised on Disney.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of Disney stuff that I still have a huge amount of affection for. So I can see the benefit. Like, I can see the pleasure in Disney things.
Because it's nostalgia, right? But it's nostalgia catered to a broad audience. Like, it's not just to kids, it's also to adults, because they know that they can get adults in too. They cast a broad net, and they just make it so that your serotonin levels are firing at a consistent level you've never seen since you were a child, and you're like, oh, this is good.
You sort of think about, well, the last time I was truly happy.
The last time I was truly happy was when I was liking this thing, and it's back again. Oh, good.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm doing that 24/7.
No.
But
just dip a toe into
or like, you know, a 4-night cruise into the sea.
when was the last time I was happy? It was watching The Lion King and then buying, or rather having bought for me, the Lion King money box, where when you put a coin into it,
I wanted that so bad.
Mufasa says, everything the light touches is your kingdom.
You just gave me a memory of, I wanted that so bad.
Yeah.
Did you actually get it?
Yeah.
That's cool. What is the movie again?
The movie is Digital Prophet. So
and that's by Disney. Walt Disney?
The Disney Prophet.
Yeah, the Disney. Yeah, okay.
So this is
profit. It's money.
Wow. That word sounds like another word. Profit. Beck's nodding. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot it's a podcast.
Yeah. So Newman gives a copy of Cyber Thoughts, which is Jeff's character's comic book, to Detective Jordan. So now they have this link to Jeff.
Yeah, I just wrote down in my notes cyber thoughts, and then I didn't write anything about it.
It's a good name.
It is a good name.
Yeah,
I
look,
think that's what I liked about it.
We all have cyber thoughts.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. Like when you go onto the internet, when you log on, all of your thoughts become cyber thoughts. They're all in that like green text.
Oh, I thought so. Or is that like when Evan played Tetris too much and then he started dreaming in Tetris? Those are also cyber
Like
thoughts.
all the blocks of people.
He said he was dreaming Tetris. Like he was.
That's too much Tetris.
That's too much Tetris. He got Tetris disease.
Tetris down.
He got Tetris brain.
They do eventually go and visit Jeff at his comic book store. As is often the case in a lot of Jeffrey Combs films, he is immediately manhandled by the bigger man in the scene.
Yep.
Someone out there has made a little clip show of the numerous times in several films that Jeff is manhandled and thrown about like a rag doll. I think that either that person or someone else in the Combs camp is going to have to make another one because there's a lot more that we need to put in there. And I'm sure someone on Tumblr is working on it right now.
Yep.
He's very squirrely but not immediately suspicious. He does, however, like he's very sassy with the cops.
Yeah. He doesn't want them in his store.
Well, he doesn't because they're the man.
And it was interesting because I was like, yeah, I didn't know what he was. He was like an anarchist, sort of. He was almost like, I think that's why I was confused about what his shop was exactly and why I thought maybe it was like, I don't know, an anarchist bookshop / like comic book thing.
Well, yeah, because it also seemed like it had like what looked like zines. in there,
Yeah.
like homemade little zine things.
Then maybe
Yeah.
it was. Maybe it did have that vibe and that's what I was picking up on.
Jeff eventually goes to Newman's horrible garage. I think they live there together.
Yeah.
This is like their dynamic. It's pretty miserable, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Why did you tell the police about me?
That's my business.
Don't give me that.
I was scared the murders.
Okay, see? It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You just go ahead and talk to them. That is your business. You know, but they're not going to believe you anyway once they find out about your past. Who gives a rat's ass about a runaway junkie? But you go ahead. But you give them anything that sends them to me again. And, I have a warehouse full of hot computers. I go down. You go down. You little whore. You got that, huh? Do you understand?
he's obviously quite abusive. He is also on a number of different drugs, it appears. He waves a syringe around like a cigarette and says, candy. To me, what it looks like is that he keeps her sort of on various drugs and obviously keeps her around and stuff. And she allows this because she wants his comic book, because that's like her Bible. Yeah. It's like like a religious fanaticism about his text. All she wants is the book.
It's very unclear exactly what is going on in that. Like I was
what
trying
their
to,
relationship is.
yeah, and how it happened and why it was happening. Sometimes I feel like in films like this, they'll try to just amp up the, I don't know, like the drama of it by making something like this, which is kind of, I hate that it does that. This is the one part where I was like, oh, I don't like that much.
Yeah, because, you know, the other scenes are all kind of like, they're a bit dark because people died and stuff, but they're silly.
They're silly.
Whereas this is...
It's kind of dark in a way where you're like, oh, I don't love this.
It's grimy.
It's grimy for the sake of just amping up some sort of tension that didn't need to be amped up.
Well, we also...
This also feels out of place.
I guess it wants us to believe that Newman is under the thumb of Andy, Jeffrey Combs' character, which I guess makes sense. Even though she is the protagonist for most of this film, I guess she is sort of doing it for him in a way. And I guess they're also trying to show that Andy is like a bad dude. But most of the other scenes of him, his worst quality in those scenes is that he's rude to cops, which is not a sign of a bad character for me in a film. Yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, you would talk shit to people who are beating you up in your place of employment.
Do you know what that is? The thing with this film is that all the characters are a bit inconsistent. They are just appearing in a scene and then doing something, but it's not necessarily what their character would do. And I think that's just because, like, you know, they were trying to do something that wasn't quite working. And also it seemed like they were filming the scenes they could in the places that they had. So I think as a result, you get a movie that's a bit uneven. And this scene especially doesn't necessarily feel like it sits with the rest of the film.
It is quite long and miserable. I mean, Jeff is very good in it. Like he's doing a great dramatic turn. But it is quite,
It just felt out of place.
yeah, gross and upsetting.
Which is not to say, like, I feel like sometimes people will come in and go, like, you can't show something bad happening, which is not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that out of the rest of the film, it just felt weird and it didn't fit. I didn't understand why it was needed either.
It's jarring when you look at the tone of the rest of the film.
Yeah. And also he says at one point while he's taking drugs, more for me, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
I thought that part was fun. He was great in it, but it's all very, yeah, it was just a bit weird. Like she had so much power. She could have just,
Well, yeah, she's killed several people already.
why isn't she threatening him?
Yeah.
Why isn't he scared of her?
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. As far as we know, she is the antagonist, I guess. Like, she's the murderer.
She computer god.
She computer murderer.
Computer mirror.
The cyberkiller, you might
She's
say.
sick with computer.
Oh, no, we're all sick with computer.
We're all sick with computer. She's especially sick.
We
with
have computer disease.
She got computer disease.
Yeah, so he's very terrifying and unhinged in this, you know, in terms of like when I try to compare this to like the other films in which he's had these like minor roles. Yeah, normally this is a bit of fun, but yeah, he's he's always good. But
Yes.
As mentioned, Jordan is kidnapped, taken to the warehouse. Newman obviously is in charge of this kidnapping, and she says, "Sleep. You'll need your rest for tomorrow." Ooh. What does she have planned? Not much, apparently. No. So,
and some of the scenes, I can't wait to find out what your explanation for them is.
oh, I don't have one.
Oh, great,
No,
okay.
no. If you're looking at me for any more information than what was on the screen, yeah, there is an incredibly weird scene, and Newman is yelling at Jordan, pointing at the desktop computer, being like, "What is this?"
What is this? What? What is this? I'm not gonna play any of your stupid games. What is this? You said. I'm sorry. Did you say something to me? I don't think I heard you. Yeah, I did. I said, let me get out of here. What is this? Go to hell. I didn't want to do this. Why do you make me do this? I wanted this to be easy. What is this? A computer. That is correct.
And that's the whole scene.
It felt like if it had evil music or if she had like a weird voice effect on, it would be spooky maybe.
Or if the computer came up with maybe the pixels made like an angry face or something.
Or if when she said it's a computer, Newman was like, no, it's not a computer. It's the future. Like it had something else.
It's a vehicle for the information superhighway.
Yeah. It felt like they hadn't quite worked out what they were doing in that one. It felt very improv.
Yeah. It was like, what is this? It's a computer. Yes, and? Jordan's tied up for most of the time. There is a scene where Newman drops a jar of something, and I had no fucking idea what that jar was. I thought that it was like gas or something.
So was it ants?
It was ants.
Okay, all right.
Okay, because it's only in the next scene that Newman asks her something about why did she kill the ants that were biting her. And that scene is actually kind of interesting because they have an interesting discussion about like what gives you the right to kill a lesser being? Like why do you think you're better than the ants?
Do you consider humans lower life forms? Of course not. Why not? Are they perfect? No. Do they make mistakes? Yes. By your own admission, they do commit errors. Of course. Then what makes them the higher life form? Ants are efficient workers. They don't take what isn't theirs. They work as a collective for the betterment of all. Perhaps they're the higher life form. But they're insects. Do you think ants are higher forms of life than you? No. But humans aren't at the top either. What is? The answer is right. What is perfect? It is always right There's no fluctuation of emotion. It's always available. I don't know. Yes, you do. And you can have your dinner when you've answered correctly. The computer. Very good.
That's interesting. But yeah, when they initially did that, I don't know if maybe there was just a shitty special effect on the jar or something. But yeah, I thought it had like unleashed a poisonous gas or something.
I think they used all their ant budget and they had to put in CGI ants. You know how it is on some productions.
Ants are famously expensive.
Ants are famously expensive.
They're so expensive, and you know they won't work for free.
And you got to have a humane society worker for each ant.
Yeah,
and they have to be more like staring at it.
They've all got to be SAG accredited.
Yeah. SAG accredited ants. Yeah. Aren't we all? SAG ants. I just wanted to say that.
Bob SAG ants. So Salinas and his captain, I guess his boss, go to Andy's comic book store, and that's where they like properly beat him up and stuff. That was the scene where I'm like, so am I meant to think that like we know, the audience know that Jeff is a bad guy, but the cops don't know that.
But also the cops, before the scene, did they go, let's go look in that guy's basement?
Yeah, because they think he's, you know.
But then they just beat him up and didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, they just beat him up because he was sass-mouthing them.
And nothing happened. And then they walked out and the other cop was like, you understand me?
Yeah.
He didn't deserve that.
It's leaning heavily into, you know, what we will see later is like, yeah, being a cop is a complicated job. It's morally grey.
You're like, no, I think just don't beat up random guy in comic book shop.
Yeah.
Even if he is sass-mouth and ultimately is a bad guy, probably that's not the way to also just get this solved.
But also, you, cop man, you weren't there for the previous scene, so you don't know that he was beating up his girlfriend. You just beat him up because he was sarcastic to you.
I was very confused by that whole scene.
I'm confused by this whole movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jeff sort of explains his ethos to one of the cops, which, again, he's so good in this scene.
Gentlemen, you do not understand that there is a river flowing out there that you will never stop. You don't understand that because you're not even on the boat. You two are nothing. You're nothing but a couple of cheeseball pawns on the chessboard of life trying so hard to enforce a bunch of laws that are nothing, just like you. Now you come on, you level with me, Captain. You can't tell me that there aren't times that you'd like to take a little swing on the old trapeze. You can't tell me that you aren't sick and tired of your life. You can't tell me that you're sick and tired of your sagging, menopausal wife and your neurotic, stupid, pockmarked kids who don't know anything but how to work a remote, and your cheap suits and your bad ties and your stinking aftershave. You're sick and tired of your pathetic, pseudo-important job. The truth hurts, doesn't it, Captain?
He was really turning up. He was great in it. It's interesting, even amongst a sea of confusion. You're like, well, that's a good performance.
Yeah, well, that's often the case in a lot of Jeffrey Combs films, even in ones which he has small roles. He appears in these, you know, incredibly low budget, fairly amateur things, and he just rocks the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But it makes everyone else look worse by comparison.
That's true as well. And maybe that's also why that other scene was so out of place, because it was quite well acted, but also it didn't feel like a fit here, because I guess actually that probably is a little bit of why.
Yeah, that's the thing. If his character had just been played by another just okay actor, it probably would have just felt like
less sinister.
Newman goes online, becomes a sexy leather lady. There's a very like 90s montage of various photos and graphics. This is like this whole I'll post like maybe a video or a GIF or something, but this whole montage is so 90s.
I wrote down it's Reboot. It reminded me of Reboot, that, you know, that 2000s 3D animated show. It was on ABC sometimes.
No.
Oh, it was great. I think it was maybe it might have been the first 3D animated TV show. I might be lying.
Reboot.
It's called Reboot, I think.
Okay.
And it's had a blue guy. Anyway, when I was watching it, it was giving me very nostalgic vibes of those times, because it's very like spooky computer. And I really liked it. I liked those I love those graphics.
Yeah, it's like this is what would happen if this is what it'd be like if you were trapped inside a computer.
I don't think it's Fruita Aero, but it's nice to say those words.
What words?
Fruita Aero? I think
I don't know what that is.
Oh, Fruita Aero is like that old school like style of sort of Y2K. I think it is that. I'm going to look it up. Frutigero. So I'm not just saying some random words. Yeah. This sort of like spacey blub. This is like, it was more old school Frutigero. Whatever before that.
Arrow. Okay.
Yeah, before that, like that blubby sort of graphics thing. This was like Utopia-esque. Like this is after that.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever the precursor to that, to Frutigero.
I'll have to find that. I have to find that guy on TikTok who does like breakdown videos of different aesthetics.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He
favorite aesthetics. Yeah.
He probably will have. He will say what this one is in this movie that isn't Frutigero.
You know, as far as aesthetics
Smashing
go,
pumpkin.
as far as aesthetics go, Whimsy Got's my favorite.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was big into stars and shit, stars and suns.
God,
and
it was in everything. I really wanted a star and sun moon beaded curtain. I remember that's one of my friends had one. And I realize this now. One of my friends that I used to go to their house, they had the same bedroom as their sister, but it had like a divider in it and a beaded curtain. And I was so envious. I was like, oh my God, you have a beaded curtain, like something out of the Brady Bunch, but cool. Like, because it was like moons and suns. And then another friend had a beaded curtain because also they didn't have they were in a smaller apartment.
What was stopping you from putting up a beaded curtain?
My mum wouldn't buy me a beaded curtain.
Okay.
She's like, that's a waste of money. We don't have the money to buy a plastic beaded. You have a door, idiot.
Well, I had one, but it was so stupid because I was a moody teenager who had her door shut once I got my own bedroom. I just had my door shut all the time. Yeah, so I had to put it on the outside of the door so that I could close the door.
Oh, that's so funny.
And yeah, I remember it was
Did you have
pink dolphins.
I was going to guess it was dolphin.
Yeah.
Because another friend had it was beads, but then when they all settled, it was a picture of a dolphin.
Oh, see, that's the one that I would have now. Like if I was going to have a beaded curtain, it would be one of those. And it'd be like if it was like a picture of like Phil Collins or something.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
See, nowadays, what I would love in my own house is like those butcher flaps that are on like
like
some bakeries.
Like you're going into a cool room.
Yeah,
or
you know
something,
when you go like flip and there's bits of plastic hit you in the face.
Yeah, when it's hot and you're sweaty, they stick to
Yeah,
your
because I
skin.
think it would keep the flies out. And flies keep getting in my house.
Yeah.
And I don't have a fly screen door, and I feel like it would actually be cheaper to get those flaps.
I don't.
And aesthetically, I love it.
Aesthetically, it's more fun. Practically, a fly screen is better for keeping flies out. But
Oh, true. That's the name.
but if you started a fish and chip shop,
Oh,
those flaps would be really good.
And do you know what? Money's tight.
Yeah.
I can fry things.
Yeah, people come in. You can
People come in. Welcome to my house. Do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want a flake and a minimum chips?
Hey, boss.
You get hit in the face with the flaps. Welcome to my house.
Oh, I hit the face with the flaps.
You hit in the face with the flaps.
Oh, Vicar.
Welcome. Oh, we're going to Bec's place, getting hit in the face with the flaps. Anyway, I think the aesthetic is fun of that red, blue, white, like floppy. I don't know.
Yeah, and you like the idea of being constantly hit by like weird alien tentacle flaps.
You know
plastic.
me. I love a flap.
Isolate that audio.
Oh, no!
Take it out of context. So Jordan escapes from her handcuffs with a rudimentary lockpick that she made out of like foil from a pot pie, but she's accosted immediately. Like it was so pointless.
She also, when she was connecting to the computer in that scene, they were kind of playing it like, this is a bit.
It was a bit horny. It was a bit much.
It was a bit horny. I think it was a bit horny.
All right, Broden. What are you doing?
I don't know what happened to me. They were trying to play it up like it was something. I don't know.
Well, because we could only see it from, and Jordan could only see it from behind. And she's like vibrating
and making noises.
You know, being on the internet.
Yes, and this is when she goes in computer, right?
Yes, this is when she goes walking around in the computer land.
And I think she is in the computer. I think she's walking around in amongst all the chips and the motherboard and stuff.
Yeah, surfing the web.
Yeah, but I'm sort of like wandering the box.
No, I feel like there's a lot of that, like in the early days of being like the idea of going into the computer and walking around like the internet was like a real place.
Yeah.
I mean, Futurama did it as a joke, but I think there was a lot of places that did it like as a real idea.
Yes. And do you know what? It would be really awful to be walking around in a computer. I realised the other day I was working my home little office we've got that everyone happened to spawn in the last 2 years for some reason.
Can't
2 or
imagine
3
why.
years. Who knows why? And me and my partner both have a computer next to each other. We're gamers. My computer is a bit newer and is fine. His computer, I realised, I was like, why is this room so hot? I was turning the aircon on. I was opening windows. I'm like, oh, it's so hot in here. And then I walked up to his computer and it was his computer was so hot, it was heating the whole room up. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
so then I had to turn his computer off. And I was just thinking, if you got stuck in his computer, what a nightmare. Hot, dusty,
Yep.
probably bugs, digital and real.
When I think about going into a computer, I think about going into the internet. I don't think about being in a computer at all. I think about walking around a website.
See, I'm thinking about climbing all the RAM.
Climbing up onto like the folder icon and like climbing into it and being like a little pocket.
See, I'm on the chips. I'm opening that little clip that gets in the CPU.
You're
scurrying around on the hardware.
you're swimming like you're in a water slide, but it's like the coaxial tube
Yes,
to go
yes,
to
yes,
to go into the modem.
I do love tubes. What's happening today?
And you open your mouth and it's that modem sound.
Bip, bop, bip. That's not it. Bow, bow, wah. Ow, ow, ow.
These are all modem sounds. This is what modems
sounds. This is what
back in
modems
the
sound
day, Zoomers. This is what modems sound
Yeah.
like. Andy is not at all happy that Newman has kidnapped Jordan when he comes home to the garage,
Which is fair.
which is fair. That's their home.
That's their home. And also, why did she do anything she's done?
Yeah. Also, it's like he's like, and he rightfully says she's a fucking cop. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So he yells at her and threatens her, and then she just shoots him dead. Which, I mean, makes sense. He's been a real cunt before that. So
Also, supreme acting in all of this, the way he dies is so funny. The way he chooses to flop his body around after getting shot, phenomenal. Love every choice. Love every flop.
it's like, well, you wouldn't just fall straight down if you got
Oh,
shot.
no,
Because you
no.
don't die straight away when you
No.
get shot,
You go, flop, 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 flop.
Yeah.
He really flopped. He flopped around like a big fish.
They call it the death flops.
It was beautiful and I really liked it.
Yeah, they call it the death flaps.
No, that's my house.
No, that's how we're going to bury you. We're going to bury you in those plastic flaps.
Oh,
We're
I
going to wrap your
would
corpse
love
up in that.
Oh, if I could be buried, if I could go in sideways and it goes through the flaps and you just hear it go. Like you can hear the flaps hitting the coffin as I go to my
Oh, see, I wasn't picturing you in a coffin.
I was just my body just going. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, and
cool.
like maybe that's how like we'll get the mortician.
Yes,
We'll give him some money. We'll get the mortician to. That's how they'll like clean your body. They'll just like wash you in the flaps.
like a car wash. No, this is good. I'm liking all of this.
Yeah. And then we'll just hose you down and bury you in a big computer.
I can't wait.
I wish I was dead now.
I wish I was dead now. Let's go.
So for some reason, the cops combing Andy's like customer list for the name Jason. I don't know how they got to Jason. Again, there's a lot of dialogue that we miss in this because of how bad the sound is. But there's a great, there's a great scene, and I'll have to put it up on the socials because like describing it isn't funny enough. But they're looking for Jason, and then the cop, the police like computer guy, he's like, well, I can't find a Jason, but I have found a Jonas. Could he be using a code name? And he's like, oh, Jonas. And then Detective Salinas is like, hang on a minute. And he writes something down. And he's written Jonas and Jason right under each other. And then just like moved, like he's got like arrows moving the letters around. Oh, it was so stupid because he spent ages doing that as well. It's like, oh, man, the fact that you couldn't just do that in your head really quickly. They're very similar names.
I liked that. I think it was true to life.
Jonas. Jason.
Wait a second. Hold on.
Similar consonants.
See, and I feel like that plays.
It kind of reminds me of, I forget which Dracula movie it is, but there's a very early Dracula movie. I want to say it's early 60s, where there's a character called Alucard. And somebody is a bit suspicious of Alucard, and they were also aware of a character of the name Dracula, and they write Alucard, and then they write Dracula underneath it, and then they write arrows going in the other direction.
Because that's also, there's a Scrubs bit that is
Dr. Acula.
Dr. Acula.
Yeah.
Which also I think they have a similar reveal, but it's played for laughs of, and then the name,
Yeah. No, this seemed pretty genuine, as did this Jonas Jason bullshit.
Phenomenal.
It was so fucking dumb. But they somehow find out where Jordan is.
Can I just say also, Jordan's house, there were too many fish. I just wanted to bring that up.
Too many fish.
In her house, there's a scene in her house, and he walks in, and she has a fish bowl, and it is filled with fish. Like, it's not one, traditionally in a fish bowl in a 90s film, you would see a single goldfish.
Orange goldfish,
this
classic.
Is full of fish.
Okay.
And I just stared at it for a bit, and I went, why there's so many fish? Because it's cheaper to get one fish. Like, if you were putting this scene together, where did you get those fish? Like, it took me out of the world.
I didn't assume that anything was made for this film. I assumed that all of the locations, I assumed they're just filming in anybody's house. So I assumed that was just somebody's house that they were filming in.
Bigger question, what you doing with all those fish tiny bowl?
Who in this cast is treating their fish so
Treating
poorly?
their fish badly, or are those fish food for another thing? Are
Bigger
they
fish.
bait fish?
I didn't notice that, but I'm going to go back and look and
Have
see
a look at all them fish.
just how many fish there are.
This is my notes document, by the way, is just like so many fish in bowl. Another thing I wrote is cheese all, and I don't know what that means. Oh, I wrote PlayStation DVD menu. That's what those graphics looked like.
Oh, yes.
That's what it looked like, the PlayStation DVD menu. You're going...
Well, the PlayStation 2 can produce mind-boggling effects.
As it says.
Yeah. So Newman plans to, I think, sacrifice Jordan to Micah, who we haven't really mentioned is like, the god in the fucking comic book. There's a lot of lore that isn't explained well enough. I think that that's what's going to happen, and she sort of wants Micah to like take over and make everybody robots. It's not clear. But Salinas arrives at Newman's warehouse garage with a cop that looks exactly like him, which was so fucking confusing.
Yeah.
Like, just get a slightly different actor. Because I was looking at this and I was like, is that like his brother? It's just another cop.
Guy.
But it doesn't really matter anyway because he is killed immediately.
So immediately.
As soon as he walks in.
Which is very character introduced just to be cannon fodder sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very, what is in Star Trek, the red shirts usually? Yeah. It's so ridiculous. But a chase ensues. Newman is like chasing Salinas through the warehouse and she's like turning into a robot while she runs. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a warehouse, even in a 90s movie, I've never seen a warehouse with so many piles of empty boxes.
I have. And here's why.
Wow, sorry.
So I don't know if you know this, but you are currently in a warehouse, right?
Yes, technically.
And Jesus Christ, if my partner Evan doesn't love to order things that come in giant boxes that are tiny, I don't know, like he will order a cable, it will come in a giant box. And then there was a time last year where I think we were updating some cable runs downstairs and the amount of boxes we had were like this scene. So I think that they just decided to upgrade their studio to SDI in this warehouse. And as a result, they had like the amount of boxes, like you would walk into his office. At one point, I think he said this, Tom from Auntie Donna went to walk past Evan's office and Evan kept shutting the door because he was like, I was embarrassed to have people looking in there because it looked like a warehouse that you would stack boxes in.
Why does he not just throw them away?
Good question. Well, they're gone now, but that was mostly because I threw them away.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I was going to say boxes, famously pretty recyclable.
Yeah, I think we also actually did not have giant recycle bins at the time. Okay. We've had to upgrade, and that's purely box input.
Yeah, because isn't that like an Amazon thing where they just have the same size boxes for everything no matter what you order? They just fill it with like those inflatable plastic bags.
And the weirdest, smallest things, paper towels being delivered in giant boxes. So odd.
Yeah, I
don't know what's happening in that place.
Yeah, I've definitely, I mean, I don't order things from Amazon generally, but I've had...
You're a good person.
Yeah, draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely ordered things before where I was like, this is a silly way to package this.
Yeah.
This would have cost you more money.
It's so odd.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. I guess there's maybe a deal you strike with a box company.
And then also you have justification for why there are so many boxes in this movie that I can tell you.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
Someone ordered a bunch of stuff and they haven't thrown it out yet.
The other question I have is the boxes, were they disassembled and flat, or were they still boxes piled?
There were boxes piled and some disassembled and flat boxes within the boxes.
Okay.
It was a baffling situation we were in.
Yeah, because I was going to say, at least if they're flat, they're easier. They don't take us up as much space.
No,
but you've got all the empty space
that's
inside
why
the box.
When I saw this scene, I was like, I relate to this because I lived this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know that this is based on.
It's based on my real life, actually.
Based on truth.
It's based on truth.
That it's not insane that a warehouse would just have piles, like walls of empty boxes.
It has to have one person receiving a lot of packages who is lazy, and then that's that situation you get.
Well, you know,
lazy in terms of throwing things out, not lazy in terms of running everything else.
No, I mean that's the thing. You know, Newman, she's on the internet all the time. Probably ordering stuff.
True.
Yeah.
Well, you got to buy candles from somewhere, you know?
Yeah, you got to buy beaded curtains.
Beaded curtains.
Mm-hmm. Dolphin figurines. Jordan has seemingly become like completely brainwashed by Newman. She convinces Newman that she is on her team and that she wants to, I don't know, take over the world with her or something like that. Until Jordan beats the shit out of her.
Yeah.
But she's also doing it like, fair play to this actress. I know that she wanted to show off her dramatic chops and everything, but it's too much.
It's too much.
She's beating her and yelling, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you," and sobbing hysterically. It was a bit fucking much.
Yeah, it felt like, I think if the scenes before of like the kidnapping had been a bit more fleshed out in terms of what was going on.
Yeah.
If the scene where she was like, "What was this? It's a computer," was instead something terrible happening, then maybe it would have made more sense.
Well, because there's one scene where Newman does beat up Jordan a little bit, which is obviously not great. But the rest of the scene is just them kind of like talking.
Having a chat.
Yeah, I mean, she gives her food and stuff. I mean, she's obviously uncomfortable because she's sitting on the floor and handcuffed and stuff. But I was like, you're a cop, man. Like,
yeah.
Am I not meant to assume that you could have like tolerated that? And then there's, we end with like a slow motion sort of. It's not a montage. It's just one of those scenes where everything's in vaguely slow motion for some reason. But it's that slow motion where it's like, I don't know what you call it. Maybe you know more about filming stuff than I do. But you know how things are like where one person's sort of stationary and everything around them is moving kind of like blurry. So it's sort of almost fast motion, but it's like
I can't remember what
smoggy.
the name of it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's it reminds me of Sliding Doors.
Yes.
Happens a lot in that. But yeah, so there's like the crime scene investigation and Salinas is comforting Jordan and she just like very
And she killed her.
Oh yeah.
She killed Newman.
Yeah, well yeah, I guess we assume like she beats the shit out of her. I guess we assume that she killed her.
Did we ever see her body? Now I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
We saw the cop's body.
Yeah.
And she was very upset about that.
Jordan like really like slowly lies down. She's obviously traumatized. But then at the end of the screen, at the end of the movie, there's a shot of a Psycom chat room where someone asks Newman, "Are you still there?" And then yes appears on the screen. So I guess Newman was fine.
See, or I took that to be maybe now Jordan's taken up Newman's role because it sort of had her on the screen. I don't know. I still also, what was the picture that flashed
Okay,
up?
so yeah, the very last thing we see is a picture of a child. I have to assume that is Newman because in the scene that we thought was the PlayStation menu, I took that to be Newman's childhood, like her life, kind of. Because look, I don't know what this movie is trying to say about what the internet does to you. It's like, she was but a humble, innocent child, and now she goes online. Oh no, how the internet corrupts our beautiful children.
I mean, kinda incels. But like, yeah, it is very like
It's very scare tactic in terms of the internet. But I think that's because there was like photos of children and photos of a child, like a girl child, in that montage thing. And so I think that the photo was meant to be of Newman, but I don't know what it was there for. It's not like R.I.P. this person who doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah.
And then the credits kick in. I mean, there is something fun about an ending that is baffling.
Oh, of course, but this whole movie's baffling.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I liked it. I still liked it. I liked watching it. It was fun. That was what I took away from it. Oh, this is fun. Like, it's silly.
See, I didn't enjoy it.
Ooh.
I did have a lot of trouble not picking up my phone. I had a lot of trouble just paying attention to it because I didn't I thought that if you're going to make like a movie about the horrors of the internet, there's a lot more you could do with it. But I think that probably they were stifled by a budget.
Yeah, I think so. And also because it probably would have cost so much money to show a computer screen for like 2 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
So if they wanted to develop any more of stuff that happened on computer, it would have blown out their budget too much, I think.
Yeah, so it ends up focusing on the human relationships, which, to be honest, the acting isn't really good enough to show us those human relationships.
No, that's why I was focused very much on the fish in the bowl.
Yeah. I was like,
and how many there were. And there's so many fish.
yeah, what's going on in the
What's
background?
happening in there?
If I can stop looking at these actors, I'll look at something else.
Yeah, I think that's true. I guess I forgive it a little bit because I think they were just trying to do something before its time. If someone tried to make this same film now, oh man, you can make it so much easier, number one, because you just film on your phone, you just, oh man. But I think, were trying to say there are scary things in the internet that will corrupt you, and you know, it's more a cult. It's more a thing about cults and believing things and like.
Well, yeah, it's like like the internet as a cult. In a way, yeah.
Which, you know, there's a lot of that these days.
No.
What?
No, internet's a great place.
Very
safe, very friendly. What would you say is a modern film that is about like internet scare? Like a film that is pretty explicit in like the internet is bad and scary.
Let me have a think for a sec.
There's definitely some that are, you know, that use the internet. Like there's been a rash of, and I quite like them. I don't know what you'd call it, but films that are shot entirely in screen.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of like Searching, Host. There's been a few of them, especially like post like Zoom becoming a big thing.
My friend was like, The Social Network's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
But it does show the horrors of what the internet will bring, and that, you know, something that could start off as a website that was for rating women, awful reason to start a website, can continue to be a terrible idea. It's almost as if you have bad people making something, that it will continue to be bad. If it begins with bad intentions, it's kind of hard to then turn it back into something good.
Yeah, I think that we just know too much about the internet now too, because I think if you tried to watch a movie that was about the internet as a vehicle for something scary, I think you'd be like, well, no, that's just
what it is.
That's just what it is. Like, there's no.
This would be heavy-handed these days.
Yeah,
I don't think there is a good way to make this film anymore that wouldn't seem like, well, duh. Like, you'd have to do it in a pretty interesting way to not make it be deadly obvious what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it would have to be something that's pretty wildly different to what the average experience is day to day of the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, so it would have to be something more like what we were talking about before about going inside a computer.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like, there's that Buffy episode, I Robot You Jane. It's the last thing I can think of that is like, computers, you know, manifesting as a monster to come get you. Oh, freaking Black Mirror. Black Mirror is all this computer will kill and bad.
Yeah, what if phone but too much, yeah.
Yes. But I think the thing nowadays, if you would make this movie now, you would try to make it probably about AI.
British crime drama I find that fairly comforting because it's cozy, it's almost always solved. It's Britain, which seems like a made up place.
Yeah.
Because it's so silly sometimes.
I think maybe because I record true crimes as a job. No, just true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
I need to put the word podcast in there. Otherwise it sounds like I'm doing murders and recording it.
I record crimes.
I record true crime podcasts as a little bit of a job. I feel like sometimes when I watch a true crime, a crime drama, my brain goes too much to, what if real?
Yeah, and then it's like, where would I put the ad in this or whatever? Yeah.
And I'm always thinking about where to put the ads. You know me, I love monetizing.
Hustle. I mean, you know, England's kind of a deeply unserious place. You know, there's a place in England called Barton in the Beans.
Barton in the Beans? Barton in the Beans.
That's not a real name for a place. That's a name of a place where a cartoon dog lives who drives a car that runs on jam.
I mean, I sound like I come from Barton in the Beans.
You live in the Beans.
I love in the Beans.
You run the parish in Barton in the Beans.
I run the parish and the parish is run on farts.
And you've got a big pot that you cook all your soup in.
Cook all my soup
for the whole town.
And I've imported it, but everyone trusts me because I'm the minister.
You're the minister of Barton in the Beans.
And I have the import illegal soup.
Wow, you're the criminal in Barton in the Beans.
Oh, that's the crime in Barton in the Beans, importing buying soup from the Gulf Coast where it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, if that's the worst crime to happen in an English town, that's fine.
It's true.
If any English listeners want to tell me anything about Barton in the Beans, please tell me. It seems like a weird little, I believe on Google it's called a hamlet.
Oh,
Yeah.
we don't got those here.
So yeah, that's Digital Profit / Cyberstalker. I've already forgotten the other one. It suffered under the weight of its own limitations, but you know what? It had an idea, and we love people making stuff and putting stuff out in the world. So on the whole, a win.
Yeah.
And also, forgetting that this is a film that is 30 years old now.
You can't say something like that to me.
You can. It's I mean, I was thinking about that the other day because next year is the 40th anniversary of Reanimator, which is a film that came out 2 years before I was born. Time makes fools of us all.
I reckon we should stop using numbers.
Is there a better way to measure our ages?
No, this isn't going to fix anything. I just think we should stop using them, and then I'll stop feeling bad about it,
I don't think you should. I think that, you know what, we have to stop giving in to society's expectations of what we should do at any age. If you want to go on a Disney cruise in your 30s, you can.
Yeah, but I'm not prescribing to numbers anymore, so I don't know what 30s are.
So I'm just
a guy.
You have giant numbers on your jumper.
Yeah, I know.
It
says 2024 and has a big Mickey face and he's a captain. Also, on the boat, it's worth saying that for some reason they couldn't make a stop off. They were going to stop off in Eden, which is just a nice little place to stop between Queensland and Victoria.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And for some reason they couldn't stop. And they were like, we're so sorry. Oh, my God, we're so sorry we couldn't stop.
Oh.
So here's like a $200 voucher.
Oh, okay.
And then
wait, for what though?
Just for stuff on the ship. So that's why this jumper
so
exists.
it's like Mickey dollars?
Yeah, essentially. But also we were like, and food. Like you could get food.
Okay, yeah.
Things. No, it was pretty good.
Cocktails and stuff.
But we were like, oh no, we're not stopping. Oh no, we weren't getting off the ship. Getting off that ship.
So if it stopped in Eden, which sounds lovely.
Yeah.
It's literally called Eden.
It's literally called Eden, yeah. It's beautiful. It's green. It's there was like,
because that's like a second free holiday.
You could do all this stuff. Yeah, we would have just stayed and probably slept.
No interest in Eden? All right. Well,
I don't need to see
any Eden listeners.
I don't need to see that. No. I need to see.
You should be offended.
Goofy's walking around the ship. I've got to find him. Where's Goofy going?
God, I didn't even think of. Would they have to stay in costume all the time?
No.
Okay.
Because but a lot of the time. And I think there's a lot of them. Sometimes you would just walk past Minnie just going somewhere.
I am sort of picturing them having to sleep in their costumes. Like I'm picturing
on the boat.
I'm picturing Donald Duck and Goofy in like shitty bunk beds, or like those when you see sailors on a ship and they're in a net hammock.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in net hammocks because they don't want to give them real beds.
And it's worth noting that they are Donald Duck, but Donald Duck is dressed like a sailor. Because
Obviously.
he's on a boat. So
are they all dressed like sailors?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
I think there's different degrees of Disney adult because I think there are some people who be like, yes, he does sleep on, like they will play into it entirely to feel as good as possible. Like that there is this magical world where Mickey is actually sleeping on the boat like that. Whereas I'm like, no, I think he probably takes it off because it's a bit hot. I did see they had to stop it when they were taking photos with kids at one point because I think it probably was too hot. And, imagine getting seasick and you're in a giant orb mask.
I wonder if they have bath bags in the costume so that they can just bath and keep going. No rest.
That's efficient.
No rest for the Disney employees.
No.
You got to hustle.
Because happiness costs money
and
takes time. Time is money, bath in the mouse head.
On that note, Bec, anything to plug?
I'm getting back to Twitch streaming. I haven't Twitch streamed for a bit.
Yeah.
I do a bunch of very silly Twitch streams. Like once
they're great fun.
Once I got made real small and I had to paint a real big picture. I was a DJ last I streamed, but I was only doing royalty-free music.
Obviously.
And then what else have I done? I've done so many silly Twitch streams that are just a bit nonsense.
It's good times.
It is good times, and I probably will. The next stream I will do will be explaining Disney cruises. I want to do just a whole thing talking about what it's like. So if you want a bit of an in-depth experience into that, have a watch. Then the stream after that, I think I will be a big rat. So there's something for everyone at twitch.tv/Beckness. It might have just passed, but we might also be doing at our studio, Stupid Old Studios, we've got a thing called Comedy Lab, which is a crowdfunded thing we run where punters give us some money and we then give free studio space or free help to people who want to get things made, like just comedians who, it's really hard if you're starting out, especially like the reason this space exists is just because we were like 5 comedians who didn't have anywhere to make anything.
Yeah.
So we just hired a warehouse and slept in it. Now it's a bit more major than that.
Oh, it's so schmick.
And we always used to help out a lot more. Like we would just be like, yeah, sure, just come in and just film stuff and we'll help you out. But because this is a business and we've got to run it, we've got it so that, you can crowdfund and we will then set aside a certain amount of hours in the podcast studio that are just sitting there for people to use for free. And we've just done a bunch of them and they were so fun and lovely, of comedians just starting out.
I think I've had pretty much everybody sort of, like mostly involved in Stupid Old on the podcast previously. Obviously, Andy Matthews, Matt Stewart, Elsa Tremblay-Birchall previously.
Spaces are dwindling. It's hard to run something like this. Like it's making less and less sense as the cost of living goes up. So it's good too that like the people who have helped us crowdfund other like people's projects. It's so nice to see people who also haven't had the opportunity to be able to do anything, be able to make something. Like that's so nice because it's just so getting into this. It's it's always a privilege to make something of your own because it just means you have the time to do it and the resources. So being able to pass that on to someone else and go, here, use our stuff, please come in. We're pretty, if there is something you want to make out there and you do need help and it's outside of Comedy Lab application times, do let us know because we do genuinely want to help comedy and we want comedy to keep being in Melbourne. And so
that's community, baby.
That's community.
We love it.
I was just going to think of like something else to plug. Like I really like Don Cabana.
Like meat?
Yeah. I was trying to think of something else that just needs a shout out. Like people aren't thinking.
I don't think it needs any help.
I think there is less and less Cabana on the shelves. I think people are falling out of love with Cabana. I think charcuterie boards have taken over and people are forgetting the humble Cabana.
Is Cabana not on a charcuterie? I don't eat a lot of I don't eat processed meat at all, like salami and all that shit. Like I don't eat any of that.
Well,
so
generally, charcuterie is now cheeses and like prosciuttos and things.
Yeah, but isn't there normally like salami? Isn't that normally
salami's there? But Cabana used to be. You get the Cabana and the cheese cubes, and that's out of fashion.
Well, people don't cube things anymore,
and that's sad.
It's all delicate slices.
I think we need to bring it back, and that's why I think Don's Cabana is a good Cabana. I don't like KR Castlemaine Cabana, and I think we should speak out against it.
Problematic, is it?
No, I just don't think it tastes as good.
Okay. Well, that's a problem.
Actually, that's true. That is problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's all
problematic.
that word means.
Yeah.